All right. So, good afternoon on this beautiful Saturday afternoon. You are currently watching Drinking and Thinking. It's your boy Coff, Bizz, representing the DMV area, always live and direct from Washington, D.C. And today, what I wanted to do was, I wanted to discuss social media as a whole. And I wanted to discuss this because I believe that there are a bunch of people right now that don't really have minds of their own. They don't really come up with their own conclusions. And they're not really investigating things on their own, to really set themselves apart from the pack. It kind of appears that there are people that are pretty much afraid to be them, and they strive to be anything that is different. But however, if you being different isn't really based on your own way of thinking, and pretty much hopping on how somebody else is thinking, then you're not really different. You're slowly becoming a different drone. Now, let's first get into something. There's a certain bill in North Carolina, I believe it's called the H2 bill, and believe me, this is a show where I don't even speak with evidence or facts all of the time, meaning that I do read things, meaning that, I do hear things. However, I might not always, realize the information verbatim, so that's why, I definitely want you guys to help because I like to have the conversation. So if there's anything that I'm leaving out, if there's anything that I'm getting wrong, please let me know, so we can be able to share ideas and we can be able to help out each other. That's one way that social media can benefit. But we have this bill where people are going to bathrooms that they identify with. Now, let me preface this by saying that, it sounds so, it's almost getting to the point now that, saying that cliches are cliches and everything's a cliche. But I don't have anything against transgenders. I don't have anything against, homosexual people or anything like that. And what people need to realize is that right now, my viewpoints on this bill aren't even based on transsexuals or transgenders or homosexual people or anything like that. It's mainly going against, the sexual predators. It's mainly going against the pedophiles. It's mainly going against the rapists. It's mainly going against the creeps because I know me. I got two nieces, and of course, they're both of a decent age, and even though I know that they can take care of themselves, this is what it's open to. When, I say in the past, or even in my city in Washington, D.C., if I've gone somewhere and I've seen that, there might be somebody that's a transgender or transsexual, because I'm not smart enough to be the be-all, end-all for everybody. I'm not smart enough to be the person that can judge anybody. I'm not the person that can say, that's a transgender, I know it. That's a transsexual, I know it. That could just be, a guy wearing a dress. I don't know these things. But the whole issue is that we don't really have, I believe that it's too broad. Because when you say, what you identify with, and you're not really being so specific, that's where problems arise. Because the problems that are happening and the problems that are going on is just a simple fact that, for one, I can say right now, I identify as a woman. Now, I identify as a man. I identify as a heterosexual man. I identify with, the way that I appear. I identify with the way that I was born, and I don't really have any inklings within my soul, that I was put in the wrong body, or I have a mindset or a thought process, at least that is different from what you might see on the court. But if I wanted to, just by everybody announcing this law and everything like that, I could just be, dressed the way that I am, and not trying to look like a woman, or not trying to have, not having a dress, or not having a wig, or not having lipstick, not having makeup, and I can say, well, hey, I identify as a woman. And I can use a woman's bathroom, and I can use the same woman's bathroom that my nieces might use, that my sister might use, that my aunt might use, that my mother, God rest her soul, when she was living, might use. And that might scare somebody else. That might make someone else fearful, because at the end of the day, it's about people's safety. I would definitely hope that my sister, that my nieces, that my aunt, that friends of mine, and what may have you, might be on alert if they just see me just walking into the male bathroom. Or if you can say, well, hey, I'm not sure if this man is just a man. I'm not sure if he's a transgender. I'm not sure if he's a cross-dresser. It's like, we don't really know, because I don't know that person's mindset. I don't know what makes that person tick. What makes that person tick. If I haven't had a conversation with that person and I don't know what's going on, then I'm not gonna know. Like, for all intents and purposes, somebody that looks like me, that dresses like me, that walks like me, that talks like me, could be the sexual predator. I could be the pedophile. And I'm telling you all that I'm not, but that's what it could be. So the whole thing about it is that I can't see. This is something that people do. Somebody takes somebody, that might have, that might have had, the surgery, that might have had, hormones that pretty much transferred them to look like a woman or to look like a man, or they might have had certain surgeries, or if you're a trans man, you might get facial hair, you might have testosterone, so maybe features that may be prevalent in women are no longer as prevalent in you now. So when it comes to all that, I'm not just going to sit there and say, oh yeah, this is a transgender, oh, this is just some dude wearing a skirt, or whatever. I'm not smart enough to do that, because I'm not smart enough to be the judge and be the end-all be-all. I believe that there's only one judge, there's only one end-all be-all, and I'm definitely not that. But of course, people are going to be worried about their safety. It's like me saying that if somebody has a knife, if I see somebody that has a knife out and about, right? Let's say I see somebody that has a knife in a restaurant. That person could work in the back. That person could be a chef at the restaurant. That person could be a dishwasher. That person could be somebody that delivered knives. They might be making a pitch or proposal to sell knives to this establishment. So maybe for me to say, well, this person, just has a knife out and about in a restaurant, they could be looking to kill somebody. However, we all know that maybe he has another means for it. She has another purpose for having that. The thing about it is that how are we supposed to expect that other people that do not know this person, that don't know this person's means of thinking, that don't know this person's occupation, they don't know any of this stuff. You're just going into the whole thing blind. How are you actually supposed to know that that's the case? How could you not know that this person may be of the serial killer variety? This person could be of the mentally ill variety. You don't know this. So I believe that what's been going on with this law is that I believe that trans people and things of the like, or even somebody that maybe they might be gay and they say, well, hey, I feel like a woman, or maybe they might be straight and they say, well, hey, I feel like a woman, or that's what I identify as. We cannot sit here and say as people that we cannot understand when somebody has a different means of opinion. When somebody that doesn't know you, that doesn't know the way that you think, that doesn't know the way that you act, is just supposed to just instantly come to the conclusion that you're not going to do anything, that you're not going to be a threat to anyone, that you're not going to inflict violence upon anyone. We're not going to know that if we don't know you. It's like that whole thing, like, well, you know, I have gay friends. I have gay people in my family. Sometimes what somebody's saying is that, you know what? I'm not prejudiced against all gay people. I'm prejudiced against the people that I don't know. And the thing about it is that maybe they are being prejudiced with all gay people, you know, which would be wrong, which would be bad. But, of course, in that situation, if that person might be in their family, if that person might be in their occupation, if that person might be a friend of theirs, that means that they know that person more than the homosexual, the trans person, or a person of another race that they don't know at all. We cannot act like certain people are just not going to be on alert. We can't act like that. It's getting to the point now that people want us to play with kid gloves so much that people just want us to ignore, you know, instant reactions and just instant mindsets so much that we have to be apologizing for everything, and we have to trip over everything. And before we speak and before we say certain things, oh, we have to watch our verbiage so much. And that should not be the case at all. So that's what I'm telling people, you know, when somebody like myself goes out and says, you know, why can't we just have it the way that we had it before? Where if you go to the bathroom or, you know, something like that, and you don't necessarily look like a woman, and you might be going into the same bathroom that my underage nieces are going to, and you don't really look like a woman to me, it's like, you know, either you can go or you can't go. That's merely your decision. And really, the bill brought up something in me, in my psyche, that I didn't even think about before. Because I just thought that that's the way that it was. I thought that people already went to whatever bathroom that they wanted to go to. Now, I'm on alert. Now, other people on alert. And somebody that's trans or somebody that identifies as one gender or they identify as another gender, now people's antennas are going to be up even further, to the point that now it might be more profiling. Now it might be more overt stereotyping, more overt prejudice. It's like how we're living now, where, you know, say, well, we're not segregated anymore, where we're separate but equal, but, you know, certain racism or certain prejudice can still occur. It just might not occur. It just might not occur by law, but it might still occur. So it's like, when it comes to that, at the end of the day, I just think that we have to stop being ignorant and stop being so sensitive and act like there's no kind of reason at all that no one can think a certain way anymore. Because that's just like me, right? If I say something that might, in the slightest way, offend a transgender, where I call them too sensitive or I call them too ignorant for them to not, you know, have a different mindset or have a different way of thinking, you know what I'm saying, the think that, you know, well, I'm not letting them be who they are, or I'm not taking into account, you know, how they are, or how they feel, or how they walk in this earth on a daily basis. at least also understand that maybe I don't really know. For attacking, have a conversation. If I have questions, answer my questions without just being like, you piece of shit, you asshole, you're prejudiced, you're profiling, you're stereotyping. Let's not go that route. Because see, the minute that you do that, now me, I don't shut down. Because I'm down for the conversation. I'm down to stand for the comments that I make, but maybe somebody else isn't. And maybe that's just going to shut somebody else down. That's going to turn somebody off from the conversation. And if there's a racist piece of shit, a stereotypical piece of shit, a profiling piece of shit, a prejudiced piece of shit, it's just going to make them keep being the same pieces of shit instead of taking that shit, making it fertilizer to grow the future and to turn that negative into a positive. So we have to stop doing that. And with social media, when it comes to stuff like that, we have to just stop, hearing certain things or hearing certain buzzwords and then just instantly just being like, oh yeah, you piece of shit. Only my opinion matters and yours doesn't. We gotta stop doing that. So that was my little rant with that right there. Sit break. This is a nice little premium vodka. And, and also something that I learned a couple of weeks ago. Did you know that vodka without a flavor? So that doesn't mean, pineapple vodka, strawberry vodka, lemon vodka. If it's just a vodka with no flavor, because of course vodka was made to be, odorless, tasteless, colorless. There's no carbs. You still got the calories, but you don't have the carbs. So, something that I learned in this edition of Drinking and Thinking, the more you know. Now, something else that I wanted to go into, like with this whole social media thing. I do not mind you being a fan of anyone. I don't mind you professing your love for Beyonce.